6 feet apart.
Yeah, sure.
6 feet.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome. My name is Kayla Haley. Very excited to be here at BlerdCon. Who's been to BlerdCon before? This is my first BlerdCon. First time, a couple first timers?
Well, I've been here
The
before.
whole time?
You've been
Since it started.
Since it started? Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for welcoming me then. Welcome. Well, very exciting. We are excited to kind of do a little bit of a part two. Tomorrow we have one more session where I'll be in here at noon and talk about NFTs. There's a lot that's happened in the last 24 hours, as you might imagine. Yesterday we spoke a bit about what are NFTs. Haas got to share a bit about kind of his story into the space. And so Haas, since we have a couple folks who weren't with us yesterday, maybe we can just start off there. And you can talk a bit about your journey into the world of Web3, and even maybe expound upon what you shared yesterday, and even just share more about like where you think this space is even going.
okay. I'll start from as much of a beginning as there is for me in this space and what I've been doing and trying to learn while in it. I would say that probably started. All right, so let's just stipulate that I can't talk about any of it without talking about all of it. When I say all of it, I mean crypto, NFTs, all the things. I can't. It's so it's kind of interwoven within each other, and I can't leave anything out. So I started. First thing I heard about cryptos was probably 2016, 2017. And it was in 2016 when a guy working for me said, hey, Haas, why don't you buy some Bitcoin? Like $1,000 or whatever it was. I know a guy. 2017, he says, Haas, you should buy some Bitcoin. You know, it's gone up a little bit. I know a guy. So, but the guy was like a dude in Texas. There was no platforms. There were no really ways that I was more familiar with to do it other than buying someone else's Bitcoin and him sending it to me. Some dude in Texas. I'm like, I need more than that as far as making this transaction and feeling good about it. So then in whatever year it was, 2019 or whatever, Bitcoin does what it does and goes to 60-something K. I don't know the numbers exactly. And that's when it got my attention, like, okay, all right, I need to start paying a little more attention. I started investing in cryptos because, you know, we like to hit a lick. We like to hit a lick. I was like, all right, I miss Bitcoin. Now, what is the next thing I can try to do? And then you invest in all of these. That I invested in all these other ones. Some of them hit, some of them didn't. I made a bag on those. Anyway, so I'm just kind of involved in the space and learning more about it, and watching projects come and go, and watching coins come and go, and it was really exciting stuff because it was also felt so new to me, in which it was, and so and during all that time we're living life and planning the con and going to the con and all that stuff, and what happened was we jump ahead to I don't know last year, and I'm sitting at the we're in the closing ceremonies. I think 2 years ago, I was talking to Hilton and some key staff. I said, you know, we should accept crypto at the con. And I'm like, hey, what do you know about what do you think about Bitcoin? What do you think about crypto? He's like, I don't know anything about it. I'm like, all right, don't worry about it. Let me just run it and let me figure it out. Fast forward a couple of years, and that's when my partner Hilton met Kayla at a mastermind. What was the name of that mastermind?
Yeah, CEO Spring Break.
CEO Spring Break. And CEO Spring Break and with Morgan,
Yep.
with Morgan Devon. And we had kind of a relationship with Morgan because we were trying to do some Blavity stuff and another event that she runs. Well, Blavity is a network and an event she runs. We were trying to, there was an integration that we thought we could do. Anyway, so we get the invite to to Black Spring Break. Wait, CEO Spring Break, my
There were a lot of
bad.
Black
That was
people.
me that went to Black Spring Break when I was skinny and had a jawline and all that. Anyway, so he goes to CEO Spring Break, and honestly and truly, he was asking me like, "Oh man, this kind of costs a lot of money. I don't know if we should go. Like, if I could go." I was like, "Dog, go. You need to be in that room because that room is going to be full of people like us that we can learn from, work with, and all the things." Like, I had to kind of talk him into it. So that's when Hilton met Kayla, and then it just kind of grew from there. So here we are. And I don't want to, now I'm starting to ramble, but that's where I'm.
No, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, no, it was a fantastic event in Nashville, and Hilton and I, we had a chance to connect and talk, and he wasn't as familiar with the world of blockchain and NFTs and stuff like that. So we had like a 2-hour deep dive. We're just sitting in the coffee shop and we're talking about this, and he's like, "You gotta talk to, I gotta introduce you to my partner Hassan," and I said, "Okay, cool." So we got on a call, we spoke. Haas was like ready, he's like, "Let's go, let's do this." And so I think it's important just for y'all to hear kind of just different people's experiences. I'll share a bit about mine. I started my crypto blockchain journey in 2017. I run a company called St. Rock Media. Our team is distributed all around the country, and we have a team overseas in South Africa. And so we put on events like this, actually, all the time. And so as we were in 2021, one of the events that we were asked to put on was this event called Consensus, or it's called Ethereal Summit for a company called Consensus. Consensus's CEO is actually the CEO, one of the founders of Ethereum, the blockchain. And so between that event and one of, does anybody know like Gary Vaynerchuk? Maybe not. But his NFT collection was being launched last summer around May. And so these things are all kind of happening at the same time. And so since I'd already been familiar with crypto from 2017, these things, the dots were connecting very quickly. And then realizing and understanding the power of the technology of the blockchain. I think sometimes people can confuse cryptocurrency and thinking that is the blockchain. No, blockchain facilitates cryptocurrencies. Blockchain technology facilitates NFTs, smart contracts. And so, not the other way around. And so, it's been a really interesting journey. Our goal with this project, so BlerdPass, you've probably seen us downstairs, running after you on the escalator, and you're like, "Did you sign up for BlerdPass?" Right? Yeah, my mom did that. But you made it here, so it worked. But we're really excited about this project because what we see in this space is that the space, unfortunately just does not have a lot of diversity. And so whenever there's emerging technology, it's interesting, Black and brown folks tend to be the ones to use that technology really well, but not necessarily always be the ones to innovate or lead and kind of drive where that technology goes. So some of the things that we're really passionate about at St. Rock is helping to make the Black and brown community early adopters with this technology so that we can be some of the drivers as to where and how this technology gets used and driving the culture along with it. And so that's a little bit about myself, that's a bit about the project. We're gonna dive in. That's okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, it looks like you're gonna say something.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. We're gonna dive in, and I know some of you were here yesterday, some of you were new. So Forgive us for those of you who were here yesterday. We're gonna help some of our friends catch up, and then we're gonna continue on. Some exciting news, I should say, is that today, some of our plans just got totally thrown off, actually. Today, the BlerdPass NFT. The crazy thing is when we went live at like 10 a.m. this morning, we sold out of the NFT in 24 minutes, which is a little bit hectic, and it threw us off quite a bit. And so we're excited to just kind of show what all of that means, what that looks like. And so we're gonna walk you through what some of those next steps are beyond the minting process now. And so any of you who were here yesterday, I think you were here yesterday, obviously, were you able to mint this morning?
I did not know how to do the next step.
No, that's great.
So
Wow.
I've got everything set up.
Yes.
But I didn't know how to do the mint part.
Well, you know what? We'll have some fun, good news at the end of this, at the end of the talk here. So we'll make sure that you being here was worth it. So let's dive into the talk here. I'm going to look up this way a little bit. So step one, who here has heard of blockchain? But this is talk. Raise your hand. Okay, fantastic. Who here has heard of cryptocurrencies? All right, what about Bitcoin? And what about Ethereum? Okay, just kind of getting a gauge here. What about NFTs? All righty. Who wants to describe, who's brave enough to give us what they think an NFT is? Going once.
The clean, and we need the clean versions of what you think.
Whoa, okay. Go ahead.
I'll try. I barely understand all this stuff, but from what I understand, you can create, it stands for non-fungible token.
Yep.
So that means you can create like a unique identifier for artwork or digital information.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that you create, you can create this unique identifier for it. And now if you want to sell it, if you want to exchange it with somebody, you can not only exchange that unique item, but you can also put like a little piece of a program on that little unique identifier. So if you want to share it or sell it, or you want a little revenue from your sold, multiple sold versions of it, you get some of that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm
No, fantastic. So here's another way to describe it, right? Haas and I, this is an example I used yesterday. Sure, we have similar looking microphones that we're both using, but each of them has their own serial number on them. And so even though they may look the same, even though all of the BlerdPass tokens, NFTs, all have the exact same design, Haas just opened his up, and what's your serial number?
Let's see.
Yeah, what number NFT do you have?
Oh, number 8.
Number 8, right? And so everyone who has a BlerdPass NFT has it's unique to them. And so some things about what make NFTs so special and so unique is the technology from the blockchain, right? So a lot of people, you will see maybe collections like Bored Ape Yacht Club or some of these other really popular projects, even like maybe like World of Women, and people might kind of scoff and say, well, I could just right click and save that image and now I own it too, right? But that's actually not in fact true, because of the blockchain, the serial number, and the verification. That's ultimately what the blockchain is. It's a really elegant solution for accounting, or essentially it's a public digital ledger that everyone has access to, and no one person controls or no one entity controls. Hence the term decentralization. And so these NFTs live on the blockchain. They're verified by the mining network. We spoke about this yesterday a bit, where basically anyone who has a computer could essentially offer a node or to be able to run this program on the internet. And so no one centralized entity could essentially turn off the blockchain. And there are multiple blockchains out there. That's what Haas was kind of referring to earlier when he's talking about different cryptocurrencies. But here we are. So that's what an NFT is. It can be used for artwork. It could be used for collectibles. It can be used for, whatever else you have ideas around. Let's keep going. So here's a snapshot some of the NFTs that I own in my wallet and in my collection. You can, the cool thing is that this is all public, so if you wanted to go, there's this website called Etherscan, and so if you wanted to go to my wallet, I don't mind people seeing what's in my wallet, but my wallet, if you typed into Etherscan Kaylah, K-A-L-A-H .eth, you'd be able to see all the stuff in my wallet. But basically, these different NFTs represent different access and ownership that I have because I own those NFTs. The cool thing about websites, and if any of you had a chance to mint the NFT this morning or even attempt to, you would see that your MetaMask wallet, which is a dApp, essentially was able to connect to the wallet and verify ownership. And so some of these examples, for example, the ones over here, Wow Pixies in the green background and the red character there, both of those represent one NFT as a part of a DAO. We're going to talk about what DAOs are in a second. But essentially, each of those represents one vote that's part of the utility of this project. It's an investment DAO. We invest in women-led NFT projects. And so we want to support, as a DAO, we said, hey, we want to support other women-led projects. And so we invested in those NFTs, and those the funds that we paid for our NFTs support other women projects, which is really cool. And that's actually very similar to what BlerdPass is as a DAO. So what is a DAO? Let's get into it. So a DAO, last time I put the screen up when I asked what's an NFT, and then everybody read, no, just kidding. No one read from the screen. But does anyone know, before I get here, does anyone know what a DAO is? D-A-O. Go for it.
Decentralized autonomous organization.
Okay, and what's special about DAOs?
It's got the rules of the organization hard-coded into your NFT.
Exactly. Whether it's an NFT, and there are other different token types as well, you can have like we won't get into the details of it, but that's exactly it. And so essentially, it's a way to organize ourselves as individuals and to say, okay, great, because I own this NFT, this gives me either access or the ability to have a vote or a voice amongst how we operate and move as an organization. Most organizations are centralized. You have leadership at the top. You can have maybe like middle management, and then you have your team dispersed throughout the organization. With a DAO, the idea is that it's more of a flat structure. But the great thing about this technology is rather than having to have conversation of we have technology now that really enables the scalability of making quicker decisions at scale as a group. So why is this important for BlerdCon? Well, number one, are you an artist? Number two, are you a storyteller? Are you a gamer? Right? There's so many different people who are a part of this community, and historically, you think about industries like Hollywood and lots of other industries where it comes to like IP, music, all of those types of things. Smart contracts and NFTs are really a perfect use. Those industries are perfect use cases for smart contracts and NFTs. It allows, let's say for example, we have, who's a popular artist kind of within the BlerdCon community? Do you know any by name?
Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams? Okay, I don't know Marcus, but let's say Marcus held a BlerdPass NFT. Marcus would then be eligible to say to the rest of the community, hey community, I want to propose this collection, this art collection that I want to sell as an NFT collection, right? And so the community itself would be able to say, hey Marcus, we want to support your project, and we're going to take some of the funds from our community wallet, and we're going to support you by, with creating the artwork and a team to help you get this project off the ground. We're going to support you by, liking your pages and making sure that we tell our friends about it, right? And so by creating that community, we're now giving him the resources to say, all right, go and launch your project, And now, anytime that Marcus sells an NFT, not only is he just selling it for the first time during the mint, but any time that he that someone else sells his NFT, let's say it's a collectible at this point, he's able to write into the smart contract a small royalty that he can collect every single time that NFT is sold, right? And so this is really different compared to how things have been in a Web 2 or even a Web 1 world, where, okay, you sell something and there's no tie to that item after it's been sold.
Okay, so I think I get the idea about how a DAO is an organization of participants, and they can pool their money, and based upon what the contracts say, what their agreement is, they can invest in, other causes and other things.
Yep.
But in this example, if I'm an artist and I want to, sell my artwork, do I, as the artist, also have to be a DAO in order to receive the funds, or can I just be an individual that says, hey, DAO, I would like, you all to support my project? Can I be an individual?
You can be an individual, and that's probably the best way at this stage, as we're, this whole industry, you probably heard, people throw around the term of like Web3, right? All of this, even what Web3 means, it's ever evolving. And so this is such a nascent, NFTs have become popular until a year ago. It's literally been like a year and 2 months since everyone kind of started to understand what was happening. And so the great thing about that, and being so early into this space, is that we kind of get to write the rules in a lot of ways. We get to experiment, and that's part of what this project is about. So let's keep going. Part of, again, why is this important for BlerdCon? This gives us a platform to own the value that we create together as a community. That's pretty much it. So if we say as a community, hey, we want to design a game together, or hey, we want to create an art collection together, or hey, we want to publish a comic book together, and it be a part of a publishing, we kind of have a publishing arm within the BlerdCon community and ecosystem. These are all things that we now have not only the finances to do, but we have the community and the talent to put together as well. Any thoughts or questions so far? Because I know what we're talking about, there's a lot going on. Please.
Okay. Osmond's number 8, let's say I buy the last one that sold out, number 800 or whatever.
Yes.
Is there a value to the number? Like, would number 8 be more valuable than number 400?
Great question. So with this first collection that we just launched, it's called Blerd Pass, and they're all the exact same. I don't know if we have a picture of there it is, perfect. So this is the artwork. It's a very simple, but if you can tell, there's some fun little Easter eggs inside of this image. But Blerd Pass is essentially, go to the website, blerdpass.io. But if you go to that website, you'll get to read a little bit of kind of the storyline of what's being created here. So in this specific piece of artwork, they're all the exact same. But the fun thing about going into our fall collection, which we're gonna have PFP, it's gonna be a 6,000 piece PFP, which is just slang, Web3 slang for profile picture. There are gonna be varying degrees of rarity and different characteristics reflected throughout the collection. And so even though everyone will pay the same amount at the mint for every single NFT, there will be varying degrees of value within the collection, which kind of makes things a bit fun. There's a fun component. So anybody who collects like baseball cards or rookie cards or I don't know, I feel like Barbies or like My Little Ponies or anything like that, you know that there's kind of like varying degrees of rarities within. Pokemon cards is another one. So great question. You seem like you know what you're talking about
I
here.
don't at all.
Okay, well, you should.
I'm learning, to be perfectly honest. Anytime someone's on Instagram that has like Bitcoin or anything in their address,
Yeah.
I block them because I don't understand.
Oh, okay.
This is phenomenal.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
came into photos because I'm waiting for you guys, and I'm learning. This is like incredible.
fantastic.
Gail
Gail,
runs our Twitter and Instagram, or just the Twitter?
just the Twitter.
Okay, so Gail sends out all our tweets, and she walked in, I was like, Gail, this is probably a big deal. Hang around for this one, because we want you to tweet about it. But you've been tweeting about it already.
I'm a collaborator. I'm not the only one tweeting.
Okay.
I'm an awesome team, but this is like, I feel like I'm in like, I know you had a speed dating thing, but I'm in speed learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
So this is like I have a Chuck Jones, it's like a number 15 out of 500 Chuck Jones animation
Yep,
film.
yep,
And so that's what I'm picturing, like
That's
number
right.
8 versus whatever.
That's right.
So this is like, this opens my mind to be willing to be willing.
mm,
Like maybe I would have bought one if I had understood how cool it would be, but I'm like, don't tell me about this stuff because I don't understand.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I know nothing, so thank you for thinking that I did, it makes me feel smart.
Yeah, no, well, we're here to make everybody feel great, so, well, no, and to your point, that's why we've, kind of put ourselves out there. I understand, most people don't, haven't really been introduced well to the world of blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs. And so there's a lot of skepticism in kind of the marketplace and in the world. And so that's why we're here to just kind of patiently, we understand, I get it. There are, let me also put this out there, there are a ton of scams. There are a lot of people who are there to just cash grab. There are tons of people who want to just take money and then run, right? They call it rug pulling. But that's why we're here. That's why we're showing our faces. That's why we're taking the time to handhold a bit and say, okay, these are the steps, because we want you to be educated and we want you to be empowered for you to make whatever decision. It's not so much to be able to say, yeah, you guys did what we wanted you to do, but rather we empowered you to make your own decision, but at least it was an informed decision. And so that's really our goal here while we're here. So I appreciate that feedback, though.
So if I could hop in, I picture this as a journey. And so you can take the journey on your own, which is just the taking in and consuming the general information that we're giving during the informational sessions. So there's that journey. And then there's the BlerdPass journey that you can go on with us. But we needed to it was good to give the information, or it is good to give the information to give people at least a basic level of understanding of the space, so that you kind of know what we're doing on this BlerdPass path. And my name is Hassan Parrish. You please know that this is related. You can relate this to me, my partner, and the organization, because it's us. It's just another, what I see this as is a sister organization to BlerdCon, if you can look at it that way. BlerdCon, if you've been to any BlerdCon for any number of years, but what BlerdCon started as was an idea. And what I see this as being is another idea that we had, and we're gonna watch it grow. And it's about as close to me, and I feel as involved with this as I do with BlerdCon. So just wanted to say that, if that means anything to you, it means something to me. That's it.
No, preach. You got it. Well, wonderful. So, okay, well, what is BlerdPass? And we're just gonna give some highlights here. I apologize, this thing is I'm behind it, or I'm in front of it. So, a couple of things, because everybody was asking, well, what is it? What do I do with it? What does it mean? How do I actually, what do I do with it? So number one, this BlerdPass NFT is gonna be your allow list, which basically VIP list, if you wanna call it, think of it that way, for the collection, the 6,000 profile picture collection that's gonna have all those different varying degrees of rarity, Easter eggs, and all of that kind of stuff this fall. So that's gonna launch this fall. And that one, this NFT was free. The one in the fall is gonna be, we're gonna pay a little bit of ETH for it, and that's what we're gonna use as the funds for our community wallet. Number two, it's our community DAO. And so again, we're gonna use the funds that we raise through the project, through the mint, and your NFT will represent your agency within the DAO. So one NFT will equal one vote. And so for every vote, for every proposal that we receive as a DAO, you'll be able to vote on things like, hey, what artist collection do we want to support? Or hey, what project do we want to support? Maybe it's a game, maybe it's someone might even come up with like a card game or something like that, which would be kind of cool. The other thing that's I'm really passionate about is there's a lot of resources being thrown around in the world of blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs. I'm a big believer in supporting our communities. And so one of the cool things we'll also be able to do is vote on what charities do we want to support as a community. And especially going into the holiday season towards the end of the year, that's something we can be thinking about as well. And then as I mentioned before, with anyone who's creating these projects, their wallet, so if you guys, any of you set up your MetaMask wallet already, that wallet address of the creators will be written into the smart contract so that any secondary royalties, they're gonna constantly get rewarded for their work in perpetuity. And that's one of the probably the coolest thing about smart contracts in blockchain. And then lastly is there's rumblings and a little bit of alpha that's been talked about with metaverse experiences as well. And so that's something that we can work on together as a community. All right, so we're gonna get a little bit practical here. We're gonna transition. For anyone, raise your hand if you already have a MetaMask wallet. Okay, fantastic. So the rest of the group, we're gonna do a bit of a workshop here. So we're gonna talk a bit, we're gonna make this very practical, how to create a wallet, how to add funds, and how to get your NFT. So step one, what is a crypto wallet? So in order to interact with the blockchain, it's all internet-based. You have to have your own unique, basically it's a digital wallet in order to interact with these different applications online. So a lot of times, depending on the platform that you're using, it may or may not ask, depending on your state, there's a lot of different like state regulations and things like that. So one state may require this, another state may not. So the experiences may differ slightly amongst the group, but they might.
If I could hop in real quick about the state experiences. What I found out yesterday when I was trying to buy some Ethereum yesterday, and apparently Indiana, if you use MoonPay, we couldn't, and we'll get to this part, but I'm jumping ahead, but I'm saying it while it's fresh in my head. About your state-to-state point is, I live in Indiana. Bless my heart, I live in Indiana, I know. But in Indiana, we, for whatever reason, and we'll get to this part, but MoonPay wouldn't let us do the transaction in Indiana because it asks, and y'all will see it asks where you live and the address, the whole thing. And it took probably about 4 times before I realized, like, oh, y'all don't mess with Indiana. Okay, I get it. All right, go ahead, my bad.
Maybe Indiana doesn't mess with MoonPay.
And Indiana don't mess with MoonPay.
That's what it is.
It's Indiana, they don't mess with nothing.
So perfect. So it's a software wallet that interacts essentially with the internet. So let's there are a couple of wallets that we have worked with. For the sake of this workshop, we're going to try to keep everybody on the same page and do everything through MetaMask. And so if you don't mind, and then there's some hardware wallets, we can get into some of that later on. There are also, who here is mainly on like their phone? Does anyone have their laptop with them? Okay, great, we thought everyone would have their phone. But yeah, so we're gonna use your phone. Typically though, I will say that even though we're gonna do this on our phones right now, as you see I have my laptop here now, obviously I'm using it for my presentation. But when you're kind of new into the world of Web3, you really just wanna give yourself as few opportunities to make errors as much as possible. This is one of the really important things I would say, I want to make sure I double, put an underscore on, is that unlike how most of our financial systems work right now, they're all managed by centralized organizations, like a bank or a fintech company or something like that, PayPal, for example. And so let's say you accidentally, right, PayPal, you put someone's email in where you want to send it, and let's say you send it to the wrong email, PayPal's there to save the day and give you your money back, right? They can cancel that transaction and give you your money back. That doesn't exist within the world of Web3. The whole idea and kind of the main point with Web3 is that each and every one of us is in control of our own assets, which means that each and every one of us can send money to and from whomever we want. So I could send money, or I could send Ethereum to Haas right now, and there's no middle person or entity getting in the way of that, that's actually the power of Web3. But most of us are used to having kind of like a middle person to help facilitate that transaction. And so because of that, going back to mobile versus desktop, it's just, personally, I like having a larger screen. I like having less opportunity for me to click the wrong button with my thumb. And so we are okay to do it on our phones. We're just gonna take our time. But I would say that once you get home to your laptop or your computer, to go ahead and download the MetaMask Chrome extension, and you're just gonna it's just gonna prevent any mistakes from being made. So let's go ahead and step one, download the MetaMask wallet. And so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna help you all onboard and get your MetaMask, your cryptocurrency wallet. From there, we're going to help you make your first Ethereum purchase, and then from there, we're gonna help you get your first NFT. Blerd Pass, there it is. So, Trey is here to also help Trayvon is here to help if you need some. But yeah, feel free to, we just have the URL is MetaMask, META mask, MASK.io, just in case you can't scan it from here.
I'm looking down, but it's only because I'm practicing buying ETH into my MetaMask wallet. So I'm going through it with you. I'm just practicing buying ETH and getting into my wallet.
Yeah. Some people like the Coinbase wallet. I personally, we had a couple people try to use the Coinbase wallet yesterday. If you're familiar with it and you've already used it, then that's great. You can skip this step. But I would recommend that if you are new and you don't have a wallet yet, MetaMask is the simplest to use. So let me know, raise your hand when you're done. And actually we have one of the steps that you're gonna find when you're creating your account, this is a really important security step, so that, let's say for example, maybe you forget the password to your account, because these MetaMask, for example, they don't want to hold your passwords. Again, that's the whole point of it being decentralized. So you're going to have your 12-phrase security phrase. We're going to have you write that down. We have a stack of cards and some pens. Trey's going to pass those out so you can write down your 12 seed phrase. When you write that down, make sure you write it down in order, like numerical order, because MetaMask is going to kind of quiz you to see, okay, what is word number 5? What is word number 10? And you have to pass that quiz in order for them to let you move on to the next step of working on your wallet. Perfect. Any thoughts, while you guys are working on that, any thoughts or questions so far? I know. Please, go ahead.
How much is the NFT, the BlerdCon?
Oh yeah, good question. Let's see. So I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were here for it, it was free. What's that?
It's sold out.
Yeah, it's sold out. So now it's available on secondary, on OpenSea. We're gonna get to that part. It's actually still pretty, it's super cheap. It's available, the lowest price right now it's like less than $1. Yeah, so it's like 0.009 ETH. So, yeah, no worries. It's basically still around the same price that we had everybody put into their ETH from yesterday, so.
So I think what the plan was, and, okay, the plan was to give them all out for free, and then what happened?
Yeah, no, we made it go live this morning and they were sold out in
Okay.
like 24 minutes.
So the plan was to mint it for free here, and then we just made it live via the website.
Yep, on the website,
BlerdPass.
BlerdPass.io.
So BlerdPass.io, we made them available to sign up for via the website. Except that it took how many minutes?
24 minutes.
24 minutes for the public to sign up and get them. And then now we have to, what do we have to do now? Because it sounds like a good problem to have, but so now what's the?
Yeah, so
workaround?
they're now available. So this is, we did about 4 weeks of, educational workshops and all that kind of stuff. So everyone who signed up for the form downstairs that we had, all of them have received their NFTs, or at least will by the end of this class. For everyone else, it was available on the public mint, and so the public, it was sold out in 24 minutes. And so now it's available on secondary. Good thing is that it's available on secondary for about $1.
So if I signed up yesterday with my MetaMask, should I see my NFT?
We're gonna hook you up right at the end of the class. Yeah. No worries, no worries. So yeah, okay, so that's MetaMask. Has everyone been able to get that downloaded or? Wonderful. All right, step 2. So typically, when you have more time, and again, when you're in front of your computer, we would normally have you set up an exchange, whether that be on Coinbase or Binance, Crypto.com. It looks like PayPal. You can now buy crypto on. I did not know that. But if you haven't already purchased Ethereum, that's where the NFT, that's the technology, that's the blockchain that the NFT is on. You'll need to purchase some Ethereum. If you go onto your MetaMask app and you click the, if you click the buy button, that will show a screen where it will actually ask you like what state you're in and things like that. This is kind of that stuff. And then if you put in there how much you want to buy, if you use MoonPay, you're gonna have to do at least $30 because they just require that amount. But let's say you did $30 and you'd say to buy it with like a debit or credit card and then get quotes. And then in that get quotes section, it's gonna offer you different options based off of the least number of transaction fees. So there's Transact, Wire, MoonPay, all of those are really good options. But basically, and then if you have Apple Pay, you can actually do it through Apple Pay and actually really fast. It'll just show up in your wallet pretty instantly. The thing is that Apple Pay has like really high fees, so it's kind of a bit of a trade-off. But whatever you decide to do, go ahead and make that purchase inside of your MetaMask wallet. And then once it's purchased, the next step, you'll go that, is to actually purchase the NFT on OpenSea. And so we'll give you a second to just kind of get everything in order here. Who is working on, does anybody need some support with that next step of getting some ETH in their wallet? Okay, cool. All right, everybody's ready to go to the next step. So the next step is to go to OpenSea. So you can do this actually on your phone. Just go to OpenSea, as it's spelled on the screen here, .io. And you can't see it on my phone, but basically you'll see you'll see BlerdPass. If you search inside of OpenSea, search for BlerdPass, and you'll see the collection pop up. The total number of supply is 2,222 tokens. So you'll see 2.2K items. And the way that you would buy an NFT on secondary is, the way I like to do it is I like to click on the button that says floor price, because what that's going to do is it's just going to show you all of the NFTs that are available to be sold, or that are currently available to be sold. So then once you've done that, you can scroll down and look at the cheapest one, essentially. Now, if you're all going to buy the cheapest one, then that one won't be available anymore. So maybe like the second or third cheapest ones. But if you go ahead and click on that, there's a big blue button on the platform that'll say buy now. If you click buy now, and then at that stage, because you're using your MetaMask wallet that you set up, I would use the MetaMask, press that MetaMask, press MetaMask again, and from here it's going to kind of push you back into MetaMask, which is going to ask you to sign. It's going to ask you to connect first and foremost to the OpenSea website. So you just sign that and say, yep, I want to connect my wallet to the MetaMask website. And then after that, it's going to ask you to go ahead and allow you to buy inside of OpenSea. And you're going to agree to that as well. Once you've done that, let me do it again here. If you have any issues, sometimes my phone acts up. This is why I like to do it on my computer more than my phone. But if your stuff is acting up for whatever reason, let me just also kind of preface it with this. Web3 and a lot of this technology, it's been created in the last like 12 to 14 months. And so a lot of this technology is kind of designed, it's almost like we're in Web 2.0 in like the early 2000s, when before the phone even existed, or like cell phones existed as we know them today. Most of the internet and what we were the way that we interacted with the internet was on our computers, not on our phones. And so a lot of the technology that's been built up to this point, we're so early, it's still kind of web app first, mobile app second, in terms of how they've built this technology. So the mobile apps are not quite as strong as we were used to, especially with like social media apps and stuff like that. But if you are running into any little issues, perhaps the Wallet Connect app might work a little bit better. Not the app, but like if you're in webs. So let me just show you what I mean. So if you're on the BlerdPass website, on OpenSea, and you click any of the NFTs, and you click the big blue button that says buy now, and then instead of clicking the MetaMask option, click the Wallet Connect option, and then what will pop up after that is connect to MetaMask, and from there it'll push you into MetaMask, basically sign, agree, all of that stuff, and then process the transaction.
If I could hop in here, I'm going to, for OpenSea, it's OpenSea what?
.io.
OpenSea.io, got it.
Yep. Did anyone have success with it?
And then when I get to OpenSea.io, then I'm searching for BlerdPass.
Yes, you search for BlerdPass. Yep, all one word. Nice.
Now,
Yep.
so it says there are 2,200, 2.2K items,
That's right.
and then there are 2,000 owners.
Yep. Yeah, in the mint, we didn't want one person like buying a whole bunch, so we said only one during the mint, only one BlerdPass NFT per wallet. So if you scroll back up slightly. Oh no. And I wanna make sure we wrap up here a little bit earlier, because we have I believe Orlando is gonna be coming and joining us actually, which is pretty cool. So I wanna make sure we get your questions answered, before he arrives. But any questions at this stage, or if you need any additional support, feel free to raise your hand, I can help answer, or you can, see Trey, and he can help support you too. Perfect.
So once we get our NFTs,
Yes,
this gives us sort of a vote for whatever's going to happen in the future.
exactly. Number one, it puts you on the allow list to be able to mint a free NFT for this fall. That NFT is what's gonna be the vote for all of the DAO related, items for the collection.
And there was an advantage, I'm assuming, for being here, participating in
Yes.
this. So folks who in, and they got the NFTs this morning,
Yes.
do they have the same kind of votes that we do moving forward within the?
They will.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And so that's why we wanted to do this education series, so that we could help make sure that this, our community here, understands the value of what's happening. But see me, if you were here yesterday, we already got yours sorted. If you were here yesterday and you're on our list, come see me and I have your NFT for you. Perfect. Wonderful. Any other questions? I see you guys in the back there. So
I have
sure.
a general question. I was always curious how value is generated for crypto, and then the gentleman downstairs explained to me the difference between crypto and NFT. So how is value generated for these different entities?
Yeah, so is your question more about crypto or more about NFTs?
I guess both, 'cause I'm not sure where
Yeah.
value comes from for both.
Yeah, so a couple of things. So the interesting thing about NFTs is that it's kind of like a double asset. Because number one, you are using cryptocurrency to buy the NFT,
Mhm.
and that cryptocurrency itself is fluctuating in price.
Right.
And then the NFT itself has its own separate value. Usually, a lot of times based in ETH or whatever, Solana is another popular ecosystem. And so you kind of have to constantly gauge both the value of both the native cryptocurrency that you purchased your NFT with,
Mhm.
as well as the value of the NFT based on like the marketplace as well.
Okay.
So there's, as you know, as we all know, that we're in a bear market right now with the current market. There's a lot of reasons for that. Obviously we're just kind of coming out of a pandemic. And usually whenever that happens, because there was so much money that was poured into the system to help, help folks kind of get through the pandemic, we're now seeing inflation because of that, right? And because of inflation, now the reserve's trying to like combat that with interest rates, and with the interest rates comes FUD, which is like fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so that's impacting the stock market, and then you've got Ukraine and Russia, and that's impacting gas prices. And so there's all of these different like variables that are putting a lot of pressure right now on our entire global economy. And so, and the other thing is that like a lot of these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, those are like the two biggest ones, are very much coupled to the stock market. And so anything that the stock market does, these cryptocurrencies will tend to do as well. It will impact them. So it's a very like, I don't know if that's what the kind of answer you are looking for, but so that's more on the cryptocurrency side. And then on the NFT side, that's much more tied to the performance of the actual project itself, right?
Okay.
Like, are we accomplishing what we set out to accomplish?
Okay.
Does the community find value within, are people incentivized to hold their NFT versus constantly selling it?
Okay.
Those types of things.
Okay.
I want to speak to the value of the NFT. So like Kayla said, you buy it with crypto, and the price of crypto is all over the place. But I would, on behalf of BlerdCon St. Rock Media, we're obsessed with the amount of value that we can provide on the NFT side.
Mm-hmm.
So if what we're talking about is voting on helping out different artists to support,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever else we decide to do, we want to provide so much value inside the NFT and inside the BlerdCast community that
Mm-hmm.
whatever the floor price of crypto
Mm-hmm.
is not as important or has zero importance as related to what it is that we're doing inside the community.
Mm-hmm.
So the price of ETH went down, it's like $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to be so busy in that DAO that I would like the community to be so busy inside that DAO, inside our group,
Mm-hmm.
that you're not really, it's more value to you in being part of it than what the floor price of the day is for Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about, and I know we're getting short on time, and if we're talking about, like I said, helping artists, voting on things, whatever you decide, or a whole other event,
Yeah.
like a pop-up party or a cup of coffee with me in the corner, we want that to be, we want the price to be secondary to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yeah.
making sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, God damn, Haas always in this group, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what,
Haas is the value of, if you didn't, Haas is the value of WordPress. So,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know, as long as Haas is there, we're good to go. But awesome. Very good. All right, so for those of you who were able to purchase your NFT, the question next is kind of like, what do I see? And so if you're using MetaMask, if you made that transaction, you may see like a little notification inside of MetaMask that says something like, turn on NFT detection or something like that. And so go ahead and click that button that's prompting you. Once you click that, there are two, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there are two toggles that are turned off. Turn both of those on, and if you go back to looking at your collection of NFTs on your phone through MetaMask, it should show up. And so that's how you can start to show. So hopefully, by the end of this class, everyone might have their first NFT, which is very exciting.
yeah.
All right, last couple of things before we have our guests join us. Discord. Join the Discord if you have more questions. We have community managers inside of Discord to answer those questions for you. Again, here's the, you can just scan this and you can jump right into Discord. Huge thing I want to mention about staying safe. There are so many scammers. Again, people know that you are in charge of your own assets. And so they are, here we go, Orlando, how's it going? Come on over.
Hello. Where am I sitting? I'm sitting next to you?
Yes, please. You can take the mic.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, you ran over here, I appreciate it.
I did. I got strict orders to be over here and there would be trouble, and I told them I didn't want no problems with you, so here I am.
Awesome. Well, hey everybody, welcome Orlando.
Yay!
Yay.
All right, well, we were just going over how to buy your first NFT.
Got you.
Yes.
And you're going through, you're not, suggesting a Trevor hardware wallet, I'm assuming.
We're not quite there. We did have that on the screen, but we talked just basics of like MetaMask, how to buy ETH, and then also, how to do it. So we had a free mint for BlerdCast. It minted this morning. We launched this morning. It minted out in 24 minutes. It's crazy. There we go. Yeah.
I can't believe y'all didn't clap for that as soon as you heard minted out in 24 minutes. That meant it was very successful.
That's right. That's right. And so, just helping the group understand the basics, the mechanics. This is very much intended to be educational,
Okay.
onboarding,
Understood.
Yeah.
So I guess my first question is always, does everybody just understand the basics of what's revolutionary about the technology and the code? 'Cause
Maybe let's start. I'd love to hear your journey into the
my journey?
Please.
Oh gosh, I'm super nerdy. You
Let's
don't
go.
even-
Yeah.
Gosh. So I'll start my journey, I guess, first. I was working with a cryptocurrency company, and I was advising in 2007, 2006, 2007. I found myself at the Congressional Black Caucus with a client that was Stars and Fremantle, and obviously the conversation at that time was what that would look like, what government regulation would look like, and particularly what it would look like if you were starting to mint things or starting to look at NFTs and cryptocurrency through the eyes of subscription services. Subscription services like Stars happen to have, or HBO or what have you, they know who pays the bill every month. So they know where you live. And so their ability to launch a successful crypto and to ultimately create a model that is DeFi is exponential.
Yes.
And direct. So I was talking to them about what that would look like and how that would also revolutionize their content and their content offering to you. So if all you really cared about was the 50 cent story world, you could essentially purchase an NFT within their lexicon, and that would open up all of the books of whatever he wanted to do within his power story or any other story world that he created. And that could be true for any of their creators, past and present, thereby allowing what they put out content-wise to be exponentially widened and allowing them to have better partners by which to create more content. So that was what my discussion was about. And they seem to like that discussion, but of course that's a restructuring of a great number of things for a company owned by Lionsgate. So my journey originally, I believe, was on that sort of consulting side. I got involved with the Meta Academy as it launched last year. And I was involved with another crypto that went live, but I'm going to revert back to what I think the basis of it is and why it got me excited. Anybody ever go to lunch with a bunch of their friends? Like,
yes.
If somebody got to pay, and then somebody always ain't got money,
Yeah.
and then you gotta chip in for that person at that time. But y'all always go to lunch, so you're not gonna get it back because the moment when you ain't got no money, they
Yeah.
gonna take care of you, right?
Yeah.
And if you was to keep all that on a ledger and keep your stuff organized, you would know who owed money and how much to whom and when, right?
Right.
Because the person who lent you that money gonna always put on there what the hell they gave you so they can get their money back.
Right.
So how would you know what they put on was correct? And they can't game the system. Otherwise, the ledger could be a hustle, right? Because there's no way to verify it.
Right.
So what this technology does is it sends out a private key and a public key. No one knows the private key. It's never disclosed. The private key matches up with the public key, and the technology confirms that what was put on the ledger is accurate. And that's pretty much what the technology is. That's what blockchain is, right? So with that simple things, that means you could start a business in a way you never could before. And you could just decide what the hell the thing unlocked. Hey, for this one, it unlocks a convention that you go to multiple times a year. You meet celebrities and you travel here and you go there, and it unlocks this restaurant and this gift shop and all of these things. Or you might say it unlocks this real estate play with these assets that are real. And now you get this access to this real estate. Hell, you can launch a timeshare with an NFT. All you have to do is have access to the buildings, right? And prove that you had access, that the people that you want to pay money for access can be a part of it. So almost any business idea you come up with is no longer strangled by the constraints of banks and corporations and institutions who may say, I don't like your idea. But if you got about 5,000 or 1,000 people who do like your idea and who are willing to invest in it, well, hell, you off and running, ain't you? So that is the power here. That's what's so revolutionary about it. So when she says this is how you set up a MetaMask wallet to put yourself in that position, hell, you could put an NFT on OpenSea tomorrow. You don't have to figure out the algorithm. Coco NFTs will take your Instagram page and mint them into NFTs. So you can just go look for your Instagram posts that you think did the best and mint those into NFTs if that's what you want to do. But the power of it is that the technology allows you to play as a crypto, as an NFT, or as blockchain, which is non-corruptible technology, right? For me, my excitement about it is how I believe that unlocks entrepreneurship in our community. Because I know if a dude know how to run a business where a bunch of people do right by him, but he stand on the street corner, and you can say that's an idiot, but that's the CEO right there. And he has to run that business without the law on his side. Because when you break the law, they send your ass to jail. But in this case, he needs you to know if you break the law, something else gonna break on you, right? So he might be using fear, but it doesn't mean he doesn't know how to run the distribution, marketing components of the business. So what might a young mind like that do with an NFT, or a crypto, or a blockchain technology, as it were? So since it's in your phone or on your computer, you may as well come play. I'll turn everything over to the queen.
Thank you, Orlando, for that. And
Thank you, sir.
We should have had you for all the other 3 sessions of this that we've been doing over the weekend. But that was a perfect explanation for what we've been saying over these last 3 sessions and over the time. But I think we're well over our time into the next panel, and my apologies for that. But shit, we got time? Oh, we got time. So we gonna keep talking then. When
I think that,
oh shit. Okay, yeah, we got more time. So
420. 420.
Oh, okay. Yeah, keep going.
Would you like some feedback? It's your call.
Well, we can have, if
Right there, so
we got it.
you wanna go 45 more minutes?
Okay.
Who's gonna stop
No,
you?
if it's
Who will stop you?
Exactly.
No, if we're going to 420, we got just enough time for questions.
does anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question, I just more of a statement. I usually encourage people to read Bretton Woods Agreement, which is when we came, after World War II, we came to the gold standard, right? So when you talk about crypto, those are some of the things you want to do the homework on. And I would also encourage everybody to read the Bitcoin white paper. It's a short read, but when you want to try to understand the new space of Web 3.0 and crypto and what definance really means, kind of backdating and going back to some of those crucial standpoints of why we want to do it that way, would definitely help you, in the longer run. So just
What was the first book, brother?
the Bretton Woods Agreement. So that's after World War II,
Okay.
when the Western world was trying to see how we would move to a standardized currency, which became the U.S. dollar at the time. And so that's what happened. They had the Bretton Woods Agreement that said, okay, the U.S. dollar will be the standard for the world economy. And so you can read that, and then the Bitcoin white paper. They're both
Yep.
very short reads. It's even on YouTube. I mean, you can just listen to it on your way to work. So
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm interested in the technology. I'd like to hear of some ideas, like, maybe conferences or how artists are using these NFTs right now to be successful. So I think that's cool. Give me some examples.
I think every pass for this convention could have been an NFT. I mean, it's already happening. Like, people buy passes to come to BlerdCon, then they can't come. And then on some transaction that I'm unaware of, because it's not on the blockchain, those passes are getting sold to other people, and they mark them up or they don't. But it's already happening, and we could have, like, every pass could be an NFT, and along with that ownership of that NFT, we could have baked in some other kind of value, like a cup of coffee with me or something. I don't know, just whatever it is whatever kind of value that we could, had we thought about it, baked in at the time, like VIP, like we said, all right, for Blerd Pass at some point, at some level that you unlock 3 VIP passes. That's what the roadmap is for us to figure it out along the way and unlock different, I don't wanna make more time for questions, but unlock different things as we go, so.
Well, and some cool things, I was just in New York 2 weeks ago for this really big event called NFT NYC. I I was in New York, I was in New York 2 weeks ago for this event called NFT NYC, and there we go. And there were 15,000 people there.
I got this.
Okay, there were 15,000 people there from all countries around the world. 15,000 people just for NFT NYC, and then another 30,000 people who came in for all of the side events. Every single one of the big NFT projects, which we will be one of those next year, and we expect everybody to be in New York. But they all, I had NFTs on my phone. The only way that I was able to enter into those side events was through verifying my ownership of the NFTs on my
Oh,
phone.
wow.
And what was with QR codes? How did you, from your phone, how did you?
Well, and there's security things that we want to be aware of too. So it's specific, there's a lot of technology that's been built for verifying ticket passes and things like that. But basically that's one way that's very obvious for this community of how we can engage. I think I don't want to spoil it. This is called alpha, and so I'm not going to tell you guys everything, right? That would be fun. But there's some more things that we have on the roadmap that have to do with other events and other experiences that if you are a holder of the NFT, the Blerd Pass NFT, you'll have access to those things. And so NFT NYC is a really good example. VCon, I was also there in Minnesota. That was a fantastic event. In order to go to that event, you have to hold the BeFriends NFT Pass. So those are some examples.
She's referencing Gary V's NFT, for those of you who are following by your hymnals. Gary V is a serial entrepreneur, and his NFT release featured some key points, and to answer your question immediately, so I'm just going to read them off to you. It was the first ever NFT ticketed event that was hosted by a serial entrepreneur. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk. He did BeFriends NFTs. The collection was comprised of 10,255 character non-fungible tokens available for purchase via cryptocurrency Ethereum. The token holders are also given exclusive access to annual events for 3 years after the NFT was purchased.
Wow.
So it's an example of an existing NFT, which I think is important to note, happened during the NFT crash, but was still an extraordinarily successful NFT release. So it didn't even matter that the crash was going on. His VCon still was 100% sold out for events for the next 3 years. So I think what they're describing is true. The job isn't now for them to tell you every little thing it unlocks. The job is for them to lay and build that infrastructure, but it's for you guys to understand the capacity that it does unlock and the scope that they're thinking of in terms of what ultimately this would unlock for you. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, I'm shut up again. There's it. I ain't got nothing else to say.
Perfect. No, well, Orlando, we're so excited that you're here, and because the NFT sold out in 24 minutes, the last thing we want to do is give you a Blerd Pass NFT. Okay, fantastic. Do you have
I do not
MetaMask?
have my MetaMask wallet. I'm gonna have you send to me, and when I get back to
Perfect.
my business, I will.
Perfect.
I'm
Perfect.
literally a hardware wallet.
Oh, well, you know
I'm
what
a
you're
nerd.
doing. You know what you're doing. Clearly, we need to do. Maybe we can figure out some kind of Twitter Spaces or something like that. That would be kind of
I
fun.
love you guys. I've had an amazing time. This is my first BlerdCon. I would come back. I've had an incredible time. I've met awesome people. So you got nothing but love from me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us and adding your thoughts to all of this. Round of applause, everyone. Wonderful. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Feel free to hang out, ask more questions, and if you want to head out, do that as well.